बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MTH का जल जीरा जीरा से
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since the war began, there are signs that America and Israel may not be on the same page for every strike being carried out. The strike on the school in Iran, which killed 160 young girls, was done using an American Tomahawk missile, according to reports now emerging. Now add to this the strike on the oil depot inside Tehran that has jolted the Iranian capital. Even the Americans are now going public with the fact that they are not happy with how the situation is unfolding. They have in fact publicly rebuked Israel and told them to be more mindful in choosing their targets. Why have they done that? We'll have a representative of the Israeli PMO after a short report.
Hospitals in Tehran flattened. Over 160 schoolgirls killed in strikes by US and Israel at an Iranian school. While multiple sources have confirmed that US's Tomahawk missile hit the school, killing over 160 girls. 30 Iranian fuel depots struck by the Israeli Defense Forces in the last 2 days.
Authorities here in Tehran are extremely worried about the environmental impact of such explosions on Tehran. The governor of Tehran just announced that the fuel supply network in Tehran has been damaged, and he said the full restoration of this network may take a few days. He also urged residents to avoid unnecessary travel and visits to gas stations unless essential. So I think Tehran will face some difficult days ahead, but the oil ministry is trying hard to restore the full capacity of this city in gas stations and also the relevant organizations. Sefer Saremi, CGTN, Tehran.
A disagreement has broken out between the war allies, US and Israel, as they trade blame over the striking of civilian and energy infrastructure in Iran. The US has blamed Israel for taking things too far. As Trump's Senator Lindsey Graham says, Israel needs to be cautious about the targets. Israeli airstrikes on Iranian oil targets have sent shockwaves through the global markets. With several oil storage facilities in Tehran and Al Bors hit, the impact on ground is way more alarming. Thick plumes of smoke billowed from the burning depots, draping Tehran in a dark, ominous shroud. Iran's environmental agency warned people in Tehran to stay indoors. Red Crescent said toxic chemicals in the drizzle could hurt skin and lungs. US says the attack on energy infrastructure can have strategic consequences, including strengthening domestic support for the Iranian regime. This marks the first major disagreement between US and Israel amid the ongoing war in West Asia.
David Mensa joining me right now is the Israel PMO spokesperson. He serves as the Israeli government spokesperson for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Prime Minister's office. Mr. Mensa, even the Americans have now criticized the wide-ranging attacks in Tehran. Lindsey Graham, who virtually speaks for Trump, has said that you're overdoing it and has said that you need to be more careful and more selective about the targets you select, not to do this in a way that does not allow the Iranian people the right to a new and better life. Why this public rebuke by Lindsey Graham.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.
Good to be with you, Arnab. If I may say very respectfully, I think that this is not your story that you're reporting is not correct. I can tell you that the Prime Minister and President Trump are absolutely shoulder to shoulder in this campaign. They are having regular conversations, sometimes once a day, sometimes even more than that. And we are absolutely side by side in this campaign against the Iranian regime. There is no daylight between the two countries. We're working hand in hand, our militaries, our air forces, and certainly our leaders. And it's because of the foresight of Prime Minister Netanyahu and the determination of President Trump that we've got to where we've got to. But this Operation Roaring Lion, it's certainly directed against the Iranian terror regime and certainly not Iran's people. What we're doing is we're creating a portal, a door, if you like, where the Iranian people can walk through to get freedom, the freedom which they've been denied by the regime. Now, our policy is crystal clear, whether in the US or Israel, we never target civilians, never target civilians. And now this is in direct contrast to the Iranian regime. Now, myself and my children, we've been running in and out of bomb shelters. Last week, I joined the Prime Minister on a visit to a synagogue which was destroyed, by an Iranian ballistic missile. 9 people were killed in that incident. I looked around that synagogue. I saw a burnt down synagogue. But you know what I didn't see, Arnab? I didn't see any military or police or any state infrastructure, which means that, as is the definition of terror, the Iranians are systematically trying to terrorize our people, as they have 47 years. So this story of saying that there's a rift between our two countries,
I'm not saying
there is no rift.
I'm not saying that there is any rift
side.
between Netanyahu and Trump. That would be taking it too far. However, I don't think Lindsey Graham would have made that statement without some kind of unofficial approval. Maybe.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham visits our office practically weekly. He's extremely close to the Prime Minister. What you said is correct. I think Lindsey Graham does work very closely with President Trump.
Then why did he say,
please
please be cautious? I'm aware that he's most for the war with Iran and for bringing down the regime, not today, but over a long period of time. I am only curious why he had to publicly, if he works so closely with you, why does he have to publicly say, please be cautious about the targets you select? Why did he say that publicly to the Israelis?
Senator Graham, who is very close with our Prime Minister, he understands how careful Israel is when it goes directly after the regime targets themselves, directly after the regime targets. Now, the Iranian public themselves have suffered decades of repression under the Ayatollahs, and the weakening of this regime will create conditions for a freer and more peaceful future.
Okay,
so
now,
our fight is with the tyrannical Iranian regime in Tehran, and certainly not with the people of Iran.
I'm sure you believe in what you say, but now it has been widely reported with video evidence, David, and now this is getting very serious. You see, this is not about who's right and who's wrong, but the video is out, and it's been reported everywhere now, including the New York Times. That there is, please allow me, I can't be off, he has to be on.
Sure.
You see, when America denied, now it's shown that there is an elementary school and next to that is a naval base. And there are 175 people killed in that attack, including 150 schoolgirls. The footage shows a Tomahawk missile hitting this particular location in Minab, Now, to say it is friendly fire after that by the Iranians without any basis, we'll have to be a little circumspect about the position taken, because everyone is reporting, and these children, these schoolgirls, had no fault, just as the victims of October 7th were not at fault, and I totally with Israel on that. But there is expert analysis, visual evidence which suggests that this is a Tomahawk cruise missile. Only America has a Tomahawk cruise missile, even Israel does not have it. Now, David, this cannot be just wished away, can it, anymore?
No one would wish away attacks on civilians, but Israel does not attack civilians, and nor does the USA. President Trump was asked about this yesterday. He said it was most likely a misfired Iranian ballistic missile.
But Iranians don't have Tomahawks.
And you haven't been recording this. A third of Iran's missiles misfire and land inside Iran, killing their own people.
But I'm talking about a Tomahawk. I'm talking about a Tomahawk. Sorry to interrupt. This is a Tomahawk. It's not an Iranian missile.
All of us have to be careful. I understand your concern for civilians, and of course that is correct.
My concern for school children.
We take, of course, any uninvolved civilian killed is, of course, a tragedy, which should never happen. But let's be clear: it is Iran's strategy to maximize civilian casualties. In fact,
Iran asked for a school for school children to be killed, or was this a misfiring in a spirit of adventurism, or maybe in the heat of the moment, the location mapping, something happened? See, this is
Arnab, with the greatest of respect.
With the greatest of respect, it's a Tomahawk. It's a Tomahawk cruise missile.
You must be very careful. It is. I don't see any evidence of there being a Tomahawk cruise missile. There's no free press in Iran. They have been carted off.
This is being reported all over the American press as well.
47 years now, this regime has not allowed a free press.
But there must be a free press in America.
We never, nor do our American allies, ever target civilians. And when the president was asked about this, he said very clearly that this was most likely a misfired Iranian missile. And Pete Hegseth said the same thing. Now, if it does indeed come to pass that it has been some sort of a tragic accident, then it is just that, a tragic accident.
I just like to say this, Mr. Mensah. Mr. Mensah,
Iran actually focuses.
Mr. Mensah, these are missiles
on civilians.
These are missiles.
When I rush into children.
But Mr. Mensah, I appreciate everything your family is going through, but the world needs to know, Mr. Mensah. The world needs to know, and I'm asking you this, Mr. Mensah, because I'll tell you this, because unfortunately, the Western media waking up now is beginning to report on this. But I have been saying for the longest time on the Republic Media Network, the Republic Media, that the Western media has put blindfolds on the incident that has happened with Iranian schoolgirls. And if you say to me tonight, if it happened, it's a mistake, it's a very expensive mistake, it would take nothing for Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Trump to come out and say that it was a mistake on their part, but to not acknowledge it. And to defiantly say it does not matter is not appropriate. I say this to you, Mr. Mensah, because the Western media, which has had too much hegemony for far too long and has never questioned, the BBC and the CNN will not ask the questions that the Republic Media Network will, but I will, because right is right and wrong is wrong. So, Mr. Mensah, this is documented everywhere. You always give lectures. Iran does not have a media. If a section of the American media is woken up right now, why do Trump and Netanyahu not answer the question? You can't manufacture Tomahawk, or you say that's an AI-generated visual. It's not an AI-generated visual. It's
Arnab,
yes, sir.
We just welcomed your Prime Minister to our country.
What has that got to do with this?
Let me tell you what it has to do with it. We just welcomed your Prime Minister. I was lucky enough to accompany Prime Minister Netanyahu to the airport to welcome Prime Minister Modi. And we went from the airport the following day, we actually went to Israel's Knesset, Israel's parliament. And this is what your Prime Minister said to our Knesset, and there was not a dry eye in the House. He said, what Israel and India share, this is the wise words of your Prime Minister, he said, we share a zero tolerance for terrorism. That is what unites our two countries.
But Mr. Mensah, 1 second, please. Just 1 minute.
I can tell you,
sir, there is no contradiction which you are trying to build here. Let me tell you very clearly, the position, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. The position is absolutely the same. The position is absolutely the same. But Mr. Mensah, the position is absolutely the same. And may I remind you that the Republic Media Network was the strongest, stronger than any other network in condemning the October 7th attacks. You know, you can ask your ambassador here. He came to my studio multiple occasions. And I've had the privilege of interviewing Mr. Netanyahu earlier on a different occasion. I believe in the Israel-India relationship. I am against terrorism. I am against terrorism in every form. But this particular incident cannot be, we can't wear blindfolds over it. We can't play blindfolds over what happened. I think needs a deeper statement than a dismissal. Yes, sir.
You've invited me on, Arnab. Allow me to share with you the facts. Israel has investigated this incident, and we found no Israeli aircraft or no operation in that area. The US have investigated the incident, and President Trump said that it was not a US attack. And Defense Secretary has also said that it was not US attack. In fact, they both suggested it was most likely an Iranian misfire of a missile. So those are the facts that I can share with you. Now, all of us have to be very, very careful now, because Iran, the regime in Iran, not the people of Iran, will try and portray this as some sort of targeted policy. The opposite is true. We make every effort to ensure that civilians are not hurt in any way, shape or form. And we have an unrivaled record when it comes to not targeting civilians. Indeed, we've probably got the best record in the entire world. In fact, John Spencer, who is an expert on urban warfare, he said about Israel's military tactics that we lead the world. We have the gold standard, because no country goes to more efforts than Israel to avoid civilian casualties. Whereas Iran, because they are Islamic fundamentalists, are trying to maximize civilian casualties.
You know, okay, Mr. Mensah, I just say this, that when Bucha, I think the massacre in Bucha happened outside Kiev, our reporters were the first from the Republic Media Network to be there. We saw what was there. It was not a question of whether the Russians had done it or the Ukrainians had done it. It was a fact that what happened was inhuman, where the bodies were put in at that point of time into a pit. I know that in war a lot of things happen. I would just request you not to say we only believe Trump, but we don't believe the American media. Because today this is being reported everywhere in the world. I'm glad that you came. I hope we pick this up again in the future. Mr. Mensah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm opening up the debate right now. I have Terry Newman with us. All right, we have David K. Johnson with us. He's an American journalist from New York. We have Eric Lemkole with us, senior journalist from, sorry for getting the name slightly confused, Eric from Atlanta. You may have heard a bit of this, Terry. So there are two questions tonight. I already put both to the spokesperson, David Mensah, there. First is the words of Lindsey Graham, and second is the reporting that's going on the attacks on which was dismissed so far as friendly fire by the Iranians, in which 150 school children died. Terry, your comments on both, please.
Yeah, firstly, it's horrendous. The loss of life of 150 school children is a horrendous tragedy for them, for their families, for their communities. But we don't. You're speaking as if you know for sure it was an American Tomahawk missile that did it. If it was, then it's a horrendous mistake. I do not believe that the American military would have done that on purpose. I am aware that it was, I believe, a school that was part of the Iranian military. It was for the children of members of the Iranian military. But I cannot believe that the Americans would do something like this.
But they did not deserve to be killed, even if they are children of people serving in the Iranian military. They are children.
Agreed. I agree. They did not deserve to be killed.
They can't be collateral damage to a Tomahawk strike.
I'm making the comment about it being next to an Iranian military facility. That's why a misfiring also from the Iranian side is also a possibility. That's certainly the position of the American government, and I think the Israeli government has accepted the American government position. But regardless, it's a tragedy. It's a horrendous tragedy. Whether it happened by the Americans doing it or whether it happened by the Iranians doing it, it's a tragedy. And very sad. I don't think there's anything, there should be an investigation into it. If it turns out that it wasn't done by the Americans, then extra procedure should be put in place to prevent that happening.
I agree,
in the future.
but then just a dismissal. I agree, Terry. Terry, I agree. But just to say, and I want to go to David on this, no, it hasn't happened. Forget it. I think it's nothing wrong. That kind of position seems too, inflexible. David.
Well, I think it's very clear at this point from the visual evidence and work by various journalists who work in this area, this was an American missile. The school apparently in the past was not a school, it was a military base. So this could be bad targeting from bad information, and it could well have been a mistake. I don't think the US or Israel intentionally would target a girls' school. It's counterproductive.
I'm with you on that. I don't think this would have been deliberate.
Right. It is the not owning up to it part of it that should trouble people. I mean, it's now the official position of the Trump administration. Pete Hegseth has said this most strongly, that we're there to kill. That's our job, is to kill. I'm sorry, America traditionally has been tried to be a liberator, not a killer. And in your previous segment, Arnab, you talked a lot about civilians with the ambassador, who spoke very artfully. He's a very well-trained diplomat, speaking artfully. The fact is, it's raining oil in parts of Iran. That means that civilians are, in fact, being targeted, because if you blow up desalination plants, which are crucial in that area, if you blow up various oil dumps in a way that's going to cause the sky to rain down oil on you, then civilians are being affected. This is not a surgical war. There are no surgical wars. That's one of the great lies that's been told since we developed pinpoint weapons.
So is this deliberate then, Eric? The damage, he mentioned desalinization plants. You have the comments of Lindsay. You have the oil depots. Is this deliberate? Because Trump's comment was, eventually, I don't think there's going to be anyone left to sign on the surrender note or something like that. That doesn't seem, it seems too broad. I mean, it seems to say that almost everybody will be eliminated. So we see contrary signals here. My question is, Eric, unable to manage the consequences of a longer drawn confrontation, is this affecting the people? Is this beginning to directly affect the people with intention?
I would like to think that it's not with intention. I mean, like you said, war is war and things are going to happen in war. Do we want to see schools full of children get bombed? No, we don't want to see those things. I don't think Secretary Hegseth wants to see those things, and I definitely don't think President Trump wants to see those things as Prime Minister Netanyahu. However, these things do happen. I do believe that we do need to be given what the truth is, what the results of that investigation are. If we're saying that it's not our missile, then whose is it? If they know it's not ours, then they know it's somebody else's. So whose is it? If it is ours, we need to come out and say, look, we had XYZ problem happen with the targeting, or we had bad intel, whatever the situation is. That needs to come out and be told to the public. I'm not above my American pride is not above admitting we're wrong when we make a mistake on the global stage. because we are under the microscope. The whole world is watching this. So when a mistake happens, it is going to get amplified. So to kind of spread the war to the civilian life into Iran or even into Tel Aviv, or we don't want to see those things. But unfortunately, this is what happens in war. And unfortunately, on the Israeli side, they're way too used to jumping into bomb shelters.
I appreciate that.
Unfortunately,
I appreciate that, Eric.
Israel.
Yeah, I appreciate that, right. Eric, David, and Terry. I think we are all being, both circumspect at the same time cautious in our responses today. I'm getting a sense there's agreement. This should not affect people in the way it unfortunately is beginning to. Ladies and gentlemen, whose war is it? Trump's war. The world is beginning to ask, as oil goes over $100 a barrel, who's going to pay for Trump's war? When we are back.
Quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।